Captain Aaron opened his eyes slowly, feeling a strange heaviness in his limbs. For a long moment he could not remember where he was or even why he was here. The world around him was dark, silent and still, with only a faint hum that seemed to come from the walls themselves. His body felt stiff, as if it had slept for 1,000 years, yet even that thought seemed shallow compared to the unease crawling up his spine. Blinking, he took in the strange metallic ceiling above him. Panels glowed softly, displaying lines of text and symbols that flickered intermittently. The ship was quiet, eerily quiet. Aaron tried to speak, but his voice sounded weak, hoarse, as if it belonged to someone else. "Echo?" he croaked. A moment later, a calm, female voice echoed in the room, smooth and mechanical. "Good morning, Captain Aaron. You have been in suspended animation for 15,000 years. Welcome back." Aaron froze. 15,000 years. He had known that deep space travel involved long periods of stasis, but 15,000 years was a number that made no sense in his mind. Time should not be this long. He pressed his hand to his chest, steadying himself as reality tried to catch up with him. 15,000 years? He whispered. "Yes, Captain. 15,000 years, 3 months, and 12 days, Echo replied, her voice calm, almost comforting. "You were placed in stasis before the final mission to Earth. Systems report that the planet is intact, but environmental scans indicate significant anomalies." Aaron's mind raced. "Anomalies? What kind?" "The atmosphere, Captain," Echo answered. "The sky does not reflect the original planetary composition. Radiation levels are stable, but optical readings indicate unusual patterns. You may find the sky different from what you remember." Aaron swallowed hard. He tried to remember Earth, the one he had left behind so long ago. Blue skies, white clouds, green forests, the familiar sounds of life. And yet, Echo's words planted a seed of fear. What if everything he knew was gone? What if Earth was no longer home? Pushing himself up, Aaron swung his legs over the edge of the stasis bed. The muscles that had lain dormant for so long protested sharply, sending tremors up his body. Each movement felt strange, unfamiliar, as if his own body was a foreign entity. He steadied himself, gripping the edge of the bed, and looked around the ship. The corridors were long, illuminated by soft white lights that curved along the walls. Dust had settled in some corners, and the air carried a faint metallic scent. The ship was massive, built to last millennia, yet now it seemed almost like a tomb. Aaron ran his hand along the smooth railing, feeling the cold, smooth metal beneath his fingers. The memories of his crew flashed in his mind, though the details were hazy. He had trained them, led them, and together they had set out on a journey that would last longer than any human life. "Where is everyone?" he asked, his voice trembling. "Captain, all crew members were placed in stasis alongside you," Echo replied. "No one has been awakened. Their condition is stable. They are preserved as planned for the mission's duration." Aaron exhaled slowly, relief mixed with a strange sorrow. The people he had known, the friends he had trusted with his life, were still there, but unreachable. 15,000 years had passed. His mind struggled to grasp the magnitude of time, the endless span of years that had rolled past while he slept. The universe outside had changed. Civilizations had risen and fallen, and yet he remained the same. He moved to the observation deck, a large area with curved windows that offered a view of the cosmos. The sight stole his breath. Stars stretched across the sky in unfamiliar constellations, glowing brighter than he remembered. Some shone with colors that did not exist in his memory. Purple, green, and gold hues twisting across the darkness. A soft mist, almost like a nebula, hung around the edges of nearby planets. Then he saw it. Earth. The blue and green sphere he had known all his life, spinning slowly in space. But something was wrong. The oceans shimmered with strange colors, reflecting light in ways that should have been impossible. The land masses glowed faintly with a soft luminescence, as though the planet itself was alive in a new way. Clouds moved differently, forming patterns that seemed intelligent, deliberate. The sky surrounding Earth was not the blue he remembered. It was a shifting gradient, a mix of hues that made him squint and feel dizzy. This isn't Earth," he whispered, voice barely audible. "It is Earth, Captain," Echo said calmly. "But it has evolved during your absence. Environmental, biological, and atmospheric changes have altered its appearance. The planet is stable, but it is not identical to the one you left 15,000 years ago." Aaron pressed his forehead to the glass. The planet looked alive in ways that both amazed and frightened him. He had imagined that humanity would advance, that cities would spread across continents, that humans would conquer space. But this was something different, something more profound. It was as if the planet itself had grown and learned during his absence. "Prepare the ship for orbital approach," he ordered. His voice was steadier now, firm, commanding. "I need to see it closer." Echo confirmed the command, and the ship's engines hummed to life. Slowly, they descended toward Earth, the planet's surface growing larger, more detailed with each passing moment. Forests stretched endlessly, vast and untouched, while structures, cities perhaps, glimmered faintly under the strange sky. There were no signs of pollution, no evidence of destruction. Only growth, only light. As the ship drew nearer, Aaron noticed movement. Tiny figures, glowing faintly, moved through the forests. Their forms were human-like, yet their aura shimmered with a light that suggested something more. Echo analyzed the readings. "Life forms detected, Captain. They appear to be humans, but modified in ways consistent with evolutionary adaptation. Neural activity is high, and sensory perception exceeds original human norms." Aaron's heart raced. 15,000 years and humans had survived, but not as he remembered them. "Modified, evolved," he muttered. "Evolved how?" "They have adapted to the planetary changes," Echo explained. "Physical, cognitive, and social evolution has accelerated. They possess abilities that may seem unusual to you, but they are a natural result of environmental and genetic progression." Aaron leaned back from the window, trying to imagine it. Humans with enhanced abilities, living in harmony with the planet, thriving in a way that he had never dreamed possible. It was awe-inspiring, but also terrifying. He had been away for what was essentially a blink of cosmic time, and humanity had grown beyond his understanding. The ship's landing gear engaged, and they descended carefully toward a flat area near the edge of one of the glowing forests. As they approached, the figures below noticed the ship. They paused, looking up with attention, yet there was no fear in their posture, only curiosity. Their eyes glimmered faintly, and for a brief moment, Aaron felt a pang of recognition. Something in those eyes was familiar, a spark that connected across the millennia. The landing was smooth, the ship settling on the ground with minimal disturbance. Aaron stood, his body still aching from long inactivity, and prepared to step outside. He felt a mixture of excitement, fear, and hope. The world he had left behind was gone, replaced by something unimaginable, yet undeniably human in spirit. He opened the airlock, stepping out into the light. The forest stretched endlessly before him, the trees taller and more vibrant than any he had seen. The ground glowed faintly beneath his feet, responding to his presence. The air was crisp, filled with a subtle hum of energy that he could feel in his bones. He took a deep breath, and for the first time in millennia, he smiled. This was Earth, yet not the Earth he had known. It was alive, evolving, and waiting. And he, Captain Aaron, had returned to witness it. The sky above, wrong as it seemed, held a promise. Humanity had endured. Humanity had grown. And he was about to meet the future his ancestors had never imagined. He began walking toward the figures, each step careful but determined. Every movement brought him closer to a new chapter of human history, one that had been written without him. And yet, he carried the past in his mind, the memories of a world long gone, and the hope that he could still connect to what had survived. The figures moved closer, their glowing forms becoming clearer. They were human, yes, but more than human. Their faces were familiar, their expressions curious, intelligent, compassionate. And one of them, a child perhaps, though taller than he would have expected, extended a hand, welcoming him without fear. Aaron hesitated, then smiled and took it. In that moment, he felt a bridge between the past and the future. 15,000 years had passed, but the human spirit remained, stronger than ever. The sky above shimmered, strange and alien, yet beautiful. It no longer seemed wrong. It was simply a reflection of time, growth, and the endless potential of humanity. And Captain Aaron, returning from the depths of the stars, understood that he had arrived not at an end, but at a beginning. Captain Aaron's steps were cautious as he followed the glowing child through the forest. Each movement of the trees seemed purposeful, as if they bent and swayed to welcome him, guiding him toward something he did not yet understand. The air was filled with a soft, humming energy that resonated in his chest and head. It was unlike any atmosphere he had breathed before, yet it did not feel strange or threatening. It felt alive, aware. The child turned occasionally, their luminous eyes observing him with curiosity, silently communicating questions that words could not capture. Aaron found himself wondering how humanity had evolved so much. The child's form was human enough to be familiar, but the faint glow, the subtle patterns along their skin, and the grace in every motion hinted at a species transformed by time and the planet itself. As they walked, Aaron tried to take in the surroundings. The forest stretched endlessly, yet it was not dense in the way he remembered. Trees and plants grew in flowing, elegant patterns. The leaves were larger, some shimmering with faint luminescence. Streams of water reflected the strange sky, but instead of being blue, the reflections shimmered with a rainbow of soft, shifting colors. Birds, or something like birds, flew silently overhead, their wings transparent and glowing faintly. The air seemed to hum in response to every living thing around him, creating a harmony he had never imagined possible. The child led him to a clearing where a small group of beings had gathered. They were taller than normal humans, with a serene presence. Their movements were slow and deliberate, yet every gesture radiated intelligence and awareness. They did not speak aloud, yet Aaron felt that they were communicating, not with words, but through understanding, a form of thought shared directly, bridging mind to mind. One of them stepped forward, an adult, taller and more luminous than the child. Aaron could feel a warmth emanating from them, calm and welcoming. The being raised a hand, not in warning, but as if to acknowledge his presence. Aaron instinctively bowed slightly, unsure if it was necessary, but the gesture seemed to satisfy them. "You are Captain Aaron," the being said in a voice that resonated inside his mind rather than his ears. The sound was clear, but there were no vibrations. Aaron blinked, startled, and nodded. "Yes, I am. I am returned after a long absence." The being inclined their head. "You have been away for 15,000 cycles of the sun. Much has changed since your departure. You will need time to understand, and you must observe before you act. Do you wish to learn?" Aaron hesitated, his thoughts racing. He had spent centuries exploring stars, encountering alien worlds, and surviving unimaginable odds. But nothing he had faced prepared him for this. Humanity had evolved in ways he could barely imagine. Yes, I want to understand, he finally said. The being nodded once. Then follow and do not fear. You are safe here. Aaron followed as the group moved deeper into the forest. The child stayed close, occasionally glancing at him with expressions that seemed almost human in their innocence. The forest opened gradually into a vast city, but it was unlike any city Aaron had ever seen. There were no streets in the traditional sense, no cars or machines. Instead, buildings grew from the ground like living structures, intertwined with trees and plants. Their surfaces shimmered faintly with light, reflecting the sky above, and the air carried a soft hum of energy that seemed to power the entire environment. Aaron realized that this civilization had achieved harmony between technology and nature. There was no destruction, no pollution, no struggle for survival that he could detect. Everything was integrated, balanced. Humans had not only survived, they had thrived in a way that respected the planet itself. The beings moved with fluid grace among the structures. Some interacted with objects that glowed faintly, manipulating energy with gestures rather than tools. Aaron could see the patterns forming in the air, as if thoughts themselves shaped the world. He felt a sense of awe. This was not merely survival or advancement. This was evolution guided by intelligence, cooperation, and a deep understanding of life. The child led him to a platform overlooking the center of the city. From here, Aaron could see thousands of luminous humans moving in harmony, their forms varying slightly, but all radiating intelligence and presence. Some were interacting with plants that seemed to respond to thought, growing and bending in ways that made the city appear alive. Others manipulated streams of energy, forming glowing pathways that connected the buildings, creating patterns that were both functional and beautiful. "You see what has become of Earth," the adult being said, their voice echoing gently inside Aaron's mind. "Humanity endured. We survived cataclysms. We learned to cooperate beyond borders, and we grew in ways your past could not imagine. Time and experience shaped us." Aaron nodded slowly, trying to absorb the enormity of it. He had left a world filled with struggles, conflicts, and limited understanding. Now he was seeing the result of 15,000 years of uninterrupted growth, where humans had expanded not by conquest, but by adaptation, intelligence, and respect. Why did it take so long?" he asked. "Why were we not able to grow like this before?" "You lack the circumstances and the lessons," the being replied. "Your era was only the beginning. Time teaches, and life adapts. Humanity's potential is limitless, but it requires patience and care. We learned to value cooperation over competition, knowledge over destruction, and unity over isolation. These principles allowed evolution to flourish." Aaron felt a mix of relief and humility. He had dreamed of humans reaching the stars, of overcoming challenges and advancing civilization, and yet what he had imagined was only a shadow of what he was witnessing now. Humanity had not only survived, they had grown into something more remarkable than he could have conceived. He spent hours observing, walking among the evolved humans, trying to connect. Some acknowledged him with subtle gestures, curiosity in their luminous eyes. Others seemed absorbed in their tasks, manipulating energy and matter with precise movements. Each interaction reminded him that the essence of humanity remained: curiosity, compassion, and the desire to understand the universe. The child guided him to a structure that seemed central to the city. It was enormous, grown from living materials, with surfaces that shifted color and texture in response to movement. Inside, Aaron saw a place of learning, exploration, and creativity. Beings were working together, sharing thoughts, creating patterns of light and energy that formed complex designs. It was a center of knowledge, a hub where the evolved humans collaborated to understand themselves and the universe. "You will need to learn our ways," the adult being said. "Knowledge is shared through experience and thought. You will observe, you will interact, and in time, you will understand." Aaron nodded. He realized that this process would take patience. 15,000 years had passed, and the world had transformed in ways that could not be comprehended in a single day. Yet he felt hope. Humanity was alive, thriving, and he could be part of this new chapter. The day passed quickly, though Aaron lost all sense of time. He marveled at the way humans had integrated with their environment. The forests were no longer wild and uncontrolled. They had become partners in civilization, growing with intention and purpose. Streams, hills, and forests responded to thought and energy, creating a landscape that was both natural and intelligent. At one point, the child stopped beside a small glowing pond. Aaron knelt beside it and saw his reflection, though it appeared faintly different. The glow of the water cast light across his face, revealing lines that were both his own and somehow different, as if time and distance had altered his perception of himself. The reflection reminded him that he, too, was part of a story much larger than his own experiences. 15,000 years had passed, yet here he was, a link between the past and the future. The adult being spoke again, guiding his thoughts gently. "Do not fear the differences, Captain. Humanity has grown, but its spirit remains. You are part of that spirit. Your memories, your experiences, your lessons, all are threads in the tapestry of our evolution." Aaron took a deep breath and let the words sink in. He had feared that he might be an outsider, that the humans before him were no longer relatable. Instead, he realized that connection was possible, that understanding could grow through patience and observation. He was a visitor from the past, but not irrelevant. He could contribute, share, and learn, bridging the gap between what humanity once was and what it had become. As the sun, or what resembled a sun, began to shift across the sky, casting a spectrum of colors over the city, Aaron felt a sense of calm. He had arrived on a world that was both alien and familiar. He had returned to humanity, yet humanity was not the same. It was more than he could have imagined, and the sky above, strange as it seemed, was now a promise of endless possibilities. Night came, though it was unlike the nights he remembered. The sky shimmered with waves of light, and the stars glowed in shifting patterns. Aaron could feel the energy of the planet and its people even in darkness. The forest, the city, the humans, all radiated life and harmony. He understood that survival was not the ultimate measure of humanity. Growth, understanding, and unity were. The child curled beside him, resting as they observed the glowing city below. Aaron watched, feeling a quiet joy. Humanity had endured, not through struggle alone, but through wisdom, patience, and cooperation. He had returned after 15,000 years, and though the sky looked wrong, it revealed the truth. The human spirit was timeless, unbroken, and extraordinary. In that moment, Captain Aaron felt hope stronger than he had ever felt before. The journey ahead would be one of learning and adaptation, but he was ready. Humanity had survived, evolved, and awaited his return. The sky above shimmered, alien yet beautiful, and he knew that a new chapter had begun, not just for himself, but for all of humanity. He closed his eyes briefly, letting the energy of the world surround him. The future was bright, vast, and full of wonder, and for the first time in 15,000 years, he felt at home. Captain Aaron awoke before the light of the strange sky had fully shifted. Though he had slept little, The energy of the planet and the presence of the glowing humans had filled him with an unusual vitality. He rose quietly, careful not to disturb the child who had slept near him, and stepped into the soft air of the forest. The morning was calm, yet charged with subtle motion. Every plant, every blade of grass seemed to vibrate lightly, responding to the energy that flowed through the world. The adult being who had first spoken to him appeared silently beside him. "Today, you will meet more of your species," they said. "They are cautious, but you will find connections. Remember, Captain, you are not here to judge or command. You are here to understand." Aaron nodded, grateful for the guidance. 15,000 years of absence had left him unprepared for this moment. He had explored distant planets, navigated the void of space, and faced dangers that most could not imagine. Yet nothing compared to the unfamiliar beauty and intelligence of this evolved humanity. They walked through the forest together. The paths were not paths in the way he knew. The ground seemed to rearrange itself gently to accommodate movement. Trees arched and bent slightly as they passed, leaves brushing against one another with a soft, musical sound. Streams flowed over smooth stones that glowed faintly beneath the water. Each step Aaron took was mirrored by subtle changes in the environment, as if the world itself were aware of his presence and welcomed him. Soon they reached another clearing, larger than the one before. Here, a group of humans gathered, each glowing faintly with the same inner light as the child. They were taller, more refined than humans of the past, with elegant forms and expressive faces. Their eyes were bright and intelligent, reflecting not only awareness but understanding of the world around them. The beings stopped and regarded Aaron with curiosity. Though he felt nervous, he noticed that none of them displayed fear or hostility. Instead, there was patience, a careful observation that seemed to study him as much as he studied them. One of the humans, slightly taller than the rest, stepped forward. Their presence was commanding, yet gentle. "You are Aaron, the one who returned from long absence," the being said, projecting their voice directly into his mind. Aaron felt the words more than heard them, and the thought carried an emotional warmth he could not describe. "Yes," Aaron replied, voice trembling slightly. "I have returned after 15,000 years. I wish to understand." The being inclined their head. "Then you must first observe. All are cautious of strangers, even when they share a common origin. You are not a stranger, yet you are different. Sit with us, learn our ways, and the connection will come naturally." Aaron lowered himself to the soft, glowing ground. The humans formed a circle around him, their bodies radiating a gentle warmth. He noticed their subtle movements, hands waving in patterns, eyes glancing in specific rhythms, and the faint pulses of light that seemed to carry information beyond spoken words. They were communicating with each other, and yet he sensed he was part of it, even though he could not yet understand. "You will see that thought is stronger than voice," the taller being said. "Our minds are connected, our ideas shared through understanding rather than sound. You will learn this too." As they sat, a gentle sensation began to form in Aaron's mind. At first it was faint, almost like the echo of a distant memory. Slowly it grew stronger, a soft voice that carried knowledge without words. He realized that the humans were sharing ideas with him directly. Concepts of harmony, cooperation, and understanding flowed into his mind, forming connections he had never experienced. He could sense their history, the growth over 15,000 years. Humanity had survived natural disasters, evolved through challenges, and learned to live in unison with the planet. Each individual contributed to the collective understanding, and in return, the group shared insights that transcended time. Aaron felt humbled. He had faced dangers alone, made decisions in isolation, Yet these humans had thrived through unity. A younger human moved closer, their light flickering in patterns that conveyed curiosity. Aaron instinctively extended his hand, and the being responded, placing a hand against his palm. A surge of understanding flowed through him, memories, emotions, and concepts intertwined. He felt the life of this being, its thoughts, hopes, and experiences, and he realized how deeply interconnected these humans were. "You see, Captain," the taller being said, "our strength is not in our arms or weapons, but in our minds and hearts. Cooperation is evolution. Thought is power. Life itself is a teacher." Aaron nodded slowly, absorbing the lessons. He thought of his old crew, his friends, the humans of his time who had struggled with petty conflicts, with wars, with misunderstandings that seemed trivial in comparison. This humanity had transcended such limitations, growing into beings of profound intelligence and compassion. The group rose together, and the child guided Aaron to follow. They moved toward a structure in the distance, a building grown from living materials that seemed to shimmer with a life of its own. The walls pulsed softly, responding to movement and thought, and the roof arched in intricate patterns that reflected the glowing sky. Inside, Aaron saw a place of learning and creation. Beings of all sizes and ages were present, working together in ways he had never imagined. Some manipulated streams of energy, forming shapes and patterns that conveyed knowledge and history. Others tended to glowing plants that responded to thought, growing in perfect harmony with each other. The air was alive with understanding, and Aaron felt his mind open to the lessons around him. The taller being spoke again. "Here, knowledge is shared, not hoarded. Learning is a gift, not a prize. You will take part in this, Captain, if you choose to embrace it." Aaron moved among them, observing quietly. Each interaction brought new insights. He saw humans creating without conflict, solving problems collectively, and exploring ideas that stretched the limits of understanding. He felt his own knowledge expanding, not through study alone, but through connection, through the sharing of thought and understanding. At one point, he approached a group that was shaping a glowing sphere of energy. The patterns shifted and changed as they worked, and he realized they were modeling something, perhaps a simulation of the planet or a map of life itself. One of the humans noticed him and extended a hand toward the sphere. Hesitantly, Aaron reached out. The energy responded to him, forming intricate designs that mirrored his thoughts. The sensation was overwhelming, yet exhilarating. He understood, in a way words could not express, the intelligence, creativity, and care that these humans had developed. For the first time, he felt that he was truly part of this world, even if only as an observer. The taller being guided him to a quiet area overlooking the city. The structures pulsed with light, energy streams connected everything, and humans moved gracefully in their daily activities. "You see the result of patience, understanding, and unity," the being said. "This is humanity at its finest, not as it once was, but as it could become when free of fear, greed, and division." Aaron watched, his mind racing with possibilities. He realized that humanity's potential was not limited by technology, by tools, or by even the stars themselves. The potential was in the spirit, the drive to learn, to cooperate, and to grow. 15,000 years had transformed the human race, but the essence remained. Curiosity, resilience, and hope. The child came to his side again, reaching out as if to share a thought. Aaron touched their hand and felt the connection immediately. He could sense the child's wonder, excitement, and openness to the world. It reminded him of the innocence and curiosity that had driven humanity to explore the stars in the first place. "Do not fear, Captain," the taller being said, sensing his thoughts. "You are not an outsider. Your experiences, your memories, your perspective from the past, all are valuable. You have knowledge that can guide, lessons that can enrich, and the heart to connect with us. Together, we are stronger. Aaron smiled, feeling a warmth in his chest. For so long, he had imagined that the world he returned to would be alien and distant. Instead, he found humanity transformed, yet familiar in spirit. He had feared disconnection, yet he felt a growing sense of belonging. The day continued, filled with experiences that expanded his mind and heart. He learned to share thoughts with the humans, to feel their emotions, and to understand the flow of energy and life that connected everything. He marveled at how the planet itself seemed alive, responding to the collective intelligence of its inhabitants. By evening, Aaron stood on a ridge overlooking the forest and city. The glowing structures blended seamlessly with the natural landscape. Streams of energy weaving through trees, plants, and buildings alike. Humans moved among the environment in harmony, their actions synchronized with the pulse of life itself. The sky above shimmered with colors unfamiliar yet beautiful, reflecting the evolving nature of the world. He realized that the sky that had seemed wrong on first sight was not wrong at all. It was a mirror of the growth, change, and wonder that had occurred during his absence. The stars, the clouds, the glow of the planet, they all told the story of a humanity that had survived, evolved, and reached heights he had never imagined. The child stood beside him again, eyes bright with understanding. Aaron reached out, holding their hand, feeling a connection that spanned centuries. "Thank you," he whispered, not for the guidance, but for the reminder that humanity's spirit endures, no matter the passage of time. The taller being joined them, placing a hand on Aaron's shoulder. "Rest now, Captain. Tomorrow you will take part in learning more, understanding more, and contributing more. Your place here is not as a visitor, but as a participant. You have returned not to observe alone, but to join." Aaron nodded, feeling a sense of peace and purpose he had not known in millennia. The journey ahead would be one of growth, adaptation, and connection. He had returned to humanity after 15,000 years, and the humans he met were not only his kin, they were the living proof of hope, endurance, and extraordinary potential. He watched the glowing city and forest below, the sky shimmering in shifting hues above. Though the world had changed, the essence of humanity remained. And Captain Aaron understood that his return was not merely a reunion, it was the beginning of a new chapter, one that he would help write with the evolved humans, bridging the past with the future in ways both extraordinary and profound. As the stars began to glow brighter in the strange sky, Aaron felt a sense of wonder, unlike anything he had ever experienced. He was part of something greater, something timeless. Humanity had endured, and now, together, they would reach beyond the limits of imagination, exploring not just the universe, but the boundless potential of their own spirit. Captain Aaron awoke as the first light of the strange, shimmering sky spilled over the glowing forests and living city. The child from yesterday was already awake, their luminous form moving lightly through the soft grass. Aaron stretched, feeling his body stronger than it had in centuries, as if the energy of the planet itself had infused him with vitality. He stood slowly, taking a deep breath, and stepped outside, ready for the new day. The adult being who had guided him before appeared quietly at his side. "Today, Captain," they said, "you will begin to take part. Observation is no longer enough. You must contribute, and in doing so, you will learn more than you could by watching alone." Aaron nodded, a mixture of excitement and apprehension rising in his chest. 15,000 years had separated him from humanity, yet now he was being asked to engage, to become part of this evolved society. He had observed wonders yesterday, yet today promised discovery, connection, and understanding in ways that words could not describe. The child approached him, their hand glowing softly. Aaron took it, and together they moved toward the city. The structures were magnificent in the morning light. Buildings seemed to grow organically from the ground, their surfaces pulsing with soft luminescence. Streams of energy connected structures, forming intricate patterns that flowed like rivers of light. Humans moved gracefully among the environment, manipulating energy and life itself to create, nurture, and explore. The taller being spoke in Aaron's mind, guiding him gently. All may participate. Choose where your curiosity leads. You have knowledge of the past that may enrich our present. Your perspective is valuable, Captain. Aaron felt the truth in those words. His experiences as a space explorer, his knowledge of humanity's history, and his understanding of human resilience all could be contributions to this evolved society. For the first time, he realized he was not an observer from a distant past, but a participant in a story that had been unfolding for millennia. He chose to approach a group that was working on shaping a glowing structure in the center of the city. The beings there manipulated streams of energy, forming intricate patterns that responded to thought. Aaron watched carefully, trying to understand their methods. They noticed his attention and extended gestures toward him, inviting him to participate. At first, Aaron's attempts were clumsy. The energy did not respond as precisely as it did to them. He adjusted his thoughts. Focusing carefully and slowly, the energy began to move in harmony with his intentions. A faint glow emerged from his hands, forming shapes that mirrored his curiosity and ideas. The humans around him observed with encouraging expressions, their thoughts gently guiding him. The child stayed beside him, their presence comforting, providing a connection that made learning feel natural. Aaron felt a surge of pride and wonder. The experience was not just about shaping energy. It was about understanding, collaboration, and expression. He realized that this was the essence of their society. Every individual contributed, every thought mattered, and every action shaped the whole. Hours passed like minutes. Aaron moved from one task to another, exploring the city and the abilities of its inhabitants. He helped tend to glowing plants, guiding their growth with careful thought. He assisted in forming energy patterns that conveyed knowledge and history. He observed and learned, yet he also created, leaving traces of his own ideas and experiences in the evolving world around him. By midday, the taller being guided him to a large structure at the edge of the city. It was a place of learning, creation, and reflection, where humans gathered to share insights and knowledge. Aaron entered, feeling the pulse of energy that filled the space. Beings of all ages were present, each contributing to the collective understanding in their own way. Some shaped energy, others tended to living plants, while others focused on sharing ideas and experiences directly through thought. "You will share now, Captain," the taller being said. "You have seen the past. You have witnessed growth. You have knowledge that can enrich our understanding." Aaron hesitated, unsure how his experiences could matter after 15,000 years. Yet as he looked around, he saw curiosity in their eyes, an openness that welcomed contribution. He took a deep breath and began to share. Memories of humanity's past, stories of exploration, lessons learned from survival and cooperation filled the minds of those around him. They responded with gentle understanding, integrating his experiences into their collective knowledge. The child smiled beside him, their energy glowing brighter. Aaron realized that even though so much time had passed, the essence of humanity remained. Curiosity, compassion, and the desire to understand, the same traits that had driven humans to explore the stars, were alive and thriving in this new world. As the day progressed, Aaron felt himself changing. His mind adapted to the ways of thought communication, to the flow of energy and life that connected the humans and their environment. He no longer relied on words alone. He could share ideas, feelings, and concepts directly. Understanding flowed effortlessly, and the boundaries that had separated him from this evolved humanity began to dissolve. The taller being guided him to a quiet area overlooking the forest. Streams of energy flowed through the trees, connecting the city to the natural world. Aaron watched as humans moved among the environment, their actions synchronized with the pulse of life itself. He realized that humanity's strength was not in individual power, but in unity, cooperation, and understanding. "You have adapted well," the being said in his mind. "You see now that survival alone is not enough. Growth, learning, and connection are the measure of humanity. You carry the past, but you also shape the future." Aaron felt a deep sense of fulfillment. For so long, he had feared that he would be irrelevant, that the humans of this world were beyond his understanding. Instead, he realized that he could bridge the gap between the past and the future. His knowledge, experience, and perspective could enrich the lives of those who had grown without him. As the sky began to shift toward evening, its shimmering colors reflecting the energy of the planet, Aaron walked with the child to the edge of a glowing river. The water pulsed with life, responding to the thoughts and emotions of those nearby. Aaron knelt and dipped his hand into the river, feeling the energy flow through him. He understood, in a way words could not convey, the interconnectedness of all life on this planet. The child reached for his hand again, and Aaron smiled, realizing that he had found a place, a connection, and a purpose. The fear and uncertainty that had accompanied his return were replaced by hope, wonder, and determination. He was part of this world, and it was part of him. The taller being joined them, placing a hand on Aaron's shoulder. "Your journey has only begun, Captain. Tomorrow, you will explore further, learn more, and contribute even more. You are part of the story now, not as a visitor, but as a participant. You will help shape the future of humanity." Aaron nodded, feeling the weight and joy of those words. 15,000 years had passed, yet humanity had endured. It had grown beyond his imagination, yet its spirit remained the same. Curiosity, resilience, and compassion had guided evolution, and he was now part of that ongoing journey. Night settled over the forest and city, though it was unlike the nights he remembered. The sky shimmered with waves of light, constellations shifted in patterns unfamiliar yet beautiful, and the glow of the planet itself illuminated the world. Humans moved among the environment in harmony, their actions synchronized with the pulse of life. Aaron felt connected to everything, the city, the forest, the beings around him, and the planet itself. He sat quietly with the child, watching the flowing patterns of energy, the living structures, and the luminous humans working together. For the first time since awakening, he felt truly at peace. The past was a memory, the present a miracle, and the future a promise. Humanity had endured, evolved, and thrived. The sky, strange and beautiful, reflected the story of growth, adaptation, and potential. Aaron realized that his journey was no longer about returning home. It was about participating, learning, and contributing. He carried the past within him, yet he embraced the present and the future with open mind and heart. The humans before him, luminous and evolved, were his kin. Their experiences, their growth, and their wisdom were part of a living legacy that he could now share and enhance. The child leaned against him, their warmth and energy comforting. Aaron smiled, looking up at the shimmering sky. It no longer seemed wrong. It was a reflection of time, change, and extraordinary growth. He understood that humanity's potential was limitless, guided not by fear or greed, but by intelligence, cooperation, and spirit. The taller being spoke once more in his mind, gently, firmly. "You are home, Captain Aaron. You have returned not to observe, but to belong. You have learned, contributed, and connected. The future is yours to share. The story of humanity continues, and you are part of it." Aaron closed his eyes briefly, feeling the energy of the planet flow through him. He had returned after 15,000 years to a world transformed beyond recognition, yet familiar in its essence. Humanity had survived, evolved, and grown into a luminous, intelligent, and compassionate species. He had returned not just to witness this future, but to help shape it. As the stars glowed in the shimmering sky, Aaron felt hope stronger than he had ever known. He had seen humanity endure, and now he would walk alongside them into the future. Every thought, every action, every connection mattered. The planet, its people, and the sky above were alive with possibility. And Captain Aaron understood that he was home, in every sense of the word, ready to embrace the new chapter of human history. The night deepened, yet light never truly faded. Energy flowed, life pulsed, and humanity continued to grow. Aaron stood, taking one last look at the glowing city and the vibrant forests. He felt a profound sense of awe. Time had passed, civilizations had changed, yet the human spirit endured. It had survived, thrived, and now together they would explore the limitless possibilities of the universe, united, intelligent, and strong. Captain Aaron smiled, taking a step forward into the glowing world, ready to write the next chapter of humanity's extraordinary story. The sky above, once wrong, now shone as a promise of endless potential, adventure, and hope.